What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title that I've been really waiting for, actually. This was a demo that knocked my socks off the last time that I played it during the Steam Next Fest. It's a little game called As We Descend, a roguelike, I guess. It does have permadeath, but I guess it does have meta progression. So I guess we'll call it a roguelite this time around the block. But anyways, in this game, you're part of a post-apocalyptic society that worships a Warhammer 40k style god empress that holds the shields to the wall to hold bad guys at bay as you dig down towards the core of the earth to try to find relics and safety. As you play through the game, you're going to unlock new units, you're going to unlock new ways to play. This is a tremendously intricate game where the production values are just absolutely through the roof. Like, every last part of this game has been seen to with a meticulous nature that's kind of rare in indie games. And so today we're going to take a look at it for about 30 minutes, just play the game, and as I play through, I'm going to talk about the things I like and I don't like. I'll try to give you some annotated thoughts at the end of the video so that you can make an educated decision before purchasing, but the link is down below if you wanted to check the game on out. So without wasting any more of our 30 minutes, let's dive on into the game. So this right here is your progression layer. Before you go into any game, you're going to have the option to pick the faction that you want to play as you dive down into the depths. Right now I have the guild, and right now I have the votive. And so the votive are very straightforward. They're kind of like frontline brawlers that have things that you expect. They have slashy dudes that build up bleed. They have people that put tar on the enemy. They have other guys that light them on fire once they have the tar on there. And then they have your standard knights. They have your lancers. They have your arbalest guys that go along with it. The guild I haven't actually played yet, but it looks like they use a shock mechanic that detonates and blows up the enemy, so that might be kind of fun to play around with. Let's just stick with what I know, because I've played the game for an hour or two prior to this recording just to familiarize myself with the mechanics. I'll leave the guild for you guys since I've never played them before and I don't want to make a bad video here. We'll play as the votive. You unlock things as you make it further and further on into your runs. There's also like your descent level, which I'm guessing is kind of like the difficulty of the game, and it looks like they have plans to have like 5 different difficulties, which is good. For replayability and people that like number go up min-maxing, it tends to bite them the most. But let's run the game. So right now, we're on the surface. The shields are now online, or at least we're like boring into the depths down beneath us. I'll explain the UI and what you're seeing in just a second, but this game actually has a little bit of almost like a sunless sea mechanic in between your different... I suppose in between your different forays out into the darkness with your adventuring team, there's loads and loads of locations and people that you unlock as you get further and further on into the game, and they stay unlocked as you find them, and they all have different functions and different interactions. For right now, we've got some narrative stuff that we've got to do, and so I'm probably just gonna skip it because you guys can see what the narrative looks like inside the video where I recorded the demo last time, but there's a lot of dialogue in this game, and the dialogue is very good. The storyline and the world are compelling. Like, this game makes a great effort to build up its world and its universe in a way that's sort of like believable. It gets you into the atmosphere and it gets you into the setting very well in my experience. There we go. So now that I've done the narrative talking, which actually, thankfully, they cut it down. This is my second run. This game has very long runs, by the way. Fair warning, if you don't like roguelites, that have like 2-hour runs, 2.5-hour runs. It does save, so you can leave and come back to it later. But if you're the kind of person that likes roguelites like Nine Kings, which we covered a couple days ago, where every run is like 9 minutes, this may not be the game for you, because every run in this game is basically one big campaign investment that you're sort of building on top of. It's actually kind of difficult to lose until you get down to like the second and third layer if you're playing smartly. But what the game's going to do is it's going to give you a number of these cards. These cards right here, they have stats up in the top left-hand corner. So these cards allow you to interact with locations. So for example, Expedition Force, that's going to be us going outside the walls to go scavenge the post-apocalypse for anything that we can find to make us stronger and have a better chance of surviving into the future. Right now, the city has no shield on it, and really one of the main things you want to do is like every X amount of time on this timeline, you're going to have to fight like a super boss that's roughly the size of, you know, a really big boss. But before I get to the cards, let's talk about the UI. So on this left-hand side, you've got how deeply your city has dug. Your city is a mine. It's got a giant death laser on the bottom that slowly sinks you down deeper and deeper into the earth. and different things happen when you get to different levels. You have to like defend from sieges and stuff like that. And the shield is how you defend when the enemies get past and actually manage to hit you in this game's turn-based combat. This right here is Favor. Favor is used for special cards when you're in combat that do things that sort of like break the game and make you really, really strong. It's basically an expression of the Empress's power that she's granting to you because you're undertaking a mission that she cares about. We have Copper right here. Copper is going to allow you to buy stuff or change interactions inside dialogues, bribe people, things of that nature, because in this game, you're sort of like the elected champion of this society to like save them from all the darkness that's lurking outside the walls. But for the moment, what I would recommend is let's just go on Expedition and show you guys some combat. That way you guys can get familiarized with it. Right now, what we really need to do is we need to get reactor rods. So reactor rods can be donated to the walls. It'll build up our shield, basically, so that we have more HP when we go into boss sieges. And so I'd like to do that. Now, combat in this game, I would love to reassure you and be like, combat in this game is super, super simple, but it's not. This is honestly one of the more complex card games that I've ever played, almost approaching the level of like one of those $200 big box board games where there's tons of mechanics and tons of figurines. This game is kind of the video game equivalent of that. It's fairly complex, but for right now, this is as simple as it's going to get, so I'm going to explain it to you. We've got our forces over here. When all your forces are gone, the game is over. You get besieged and your city is destroyed. So be careful about getting them killed because it can actually be kind of a pain in the ass to get them healed or to get them back up to full HP or to get them rezzed if you end up getting them wiped out. For right now, we'll put them in this slot right here. It'll give you an idea of the abilities that you have. Abilities are given to you almost entirely by your forces deployed to the field, but you do get special ones from the lantern that you currently have equipped as well. The lantern is sort of like a remote Wi-Fi device for the Empress that allows us to push back the darkness inside the areas that we're exploring, and it also acts as a conduit so that she can view what's going on during the expedition. Let's deploy for battle. And our first turn begins. So our warriors, we run on out here. Now this game is divided into a couple of different zones. You've got the lantern zone. I actually don't know what happens if the lantern gets killed. I think the battle is over, like the expedition is over when the lantern gets killed. Mine's never been back-capped, like my lantern has never gotten destroyed while I still have forces standing. So I can't tell you what happened if they managed to weasel their way around you and hit it, but either way, you don't want this to go down to 0 HP. Same thing with our forces. You're going to draw a hand every single turn. That's going to give you a number of cards from both your lantern and all of your deployed forces. And then if you see these little icons up here, the battlefield for both you and the enemy is divided up into a support lane and into the guard lane. Different units have different interactions and different strengths depending on what area they're in. Some troops are completely and totally useless in the guard line. Some are totally useless in the support line. Some get bonuses by bouncing in between the two. Some have like limited abilities they can use in the back. Some they can use in the front. Kind of a Darkest Dungeon influence. And then the enemies are just going to move forward. Now everybody that's in the guard lane gets an auto attack when the combat reaches the end of a turn. So that's another thing you have to think about is who do you want to leave up here that will get their auto attacks, but they will probably take retaliatory hits as well. And so there's a lot of things to think about. This game also has stagger inside of it, but we'll talk about that as we get further. In fact, I'll play a smite over here. This does 4 damage and 4 stagger. So there you go. You see how the stagger meter went up? You can actually stun enemies in this game just like you could if you were playing something like Dark Souls by hitting them in rapid succession. And in fact, that's a great way for you to intervene and stop them from deploying their biggest, nastiest attacks on you. So a lot of times it may be smart for you to kind of get their stagger like up to here and then leave it there for later. That way you can stun them for a couple of turns when you need to. But for right now, there's nothing else that we can do on this turn. We've got all defensive abilities. We've got nothing that moves us up to the guard lane. So we'll end our turn. The bugs are going to move on up, and these guys are going to hit random units. This, in my opinion, is one of my biggest complaints about this game. A huge number of attacks in this game just hit someone randomly, and it feels like it's really difficult to know who to put shields on when the enemy strikes randomly. Now in this fight it's easy because we only have 1 unit, so we know where all the damage is going. Let's reposition forward so at the bare minimum we at least get some kind of benefit at the end of the turn by auto attacking. We do have a smite over here, but I'm going to empower first. Empowering in this game, it basically, so there's two states for any of your units, unempowered and empowered. Every unit will tell you when you mouse over them what happens when they get empowered. And so this right here is going to empower them for the rest of the battle, which just kind of passively makes them cause a lot more stagger. This guy has a 70% chance to get staggered. It worked. There we go. So his attack has been canceled out. I am going to play Alacrity so that I can draw some more cards. Inside combat, you've got a limited number of discards. So you can actually get rid of cards to get a different card 3 times per battle. And there's ways, I think, to increase this with relics and whatnot, which does make it very, very interesting when the enemy is putting negative stuff inside of your deck. Deciding which things you want to throw out or whether or not you just want to suffer the consequences of it. I am going to shield slam this guy. It's probably not going to help us out too much. These guys are still going to take their 8 damage. I could have defended a little bit, but I wanted to get his stagger meter up to a point where we can start juggling between the two, keeping them knocked the hell out. He's attacking on this turn. We didn't really actually draw anything useful here, so Alacrity, I'm going to need you to save me. Let's go for a shield slam right here, which is going to stagger him. Very nice. And what you will see is when you stagger enemy units, their body parts become available for attacking. Now, these are just really small ants, so they only have one body part called the underside that makes all of our hits critical hits. But were they a bigger unit, you could attack the arms, you could attack the legs, you could attack the eyes, you can attack the tail, and disabling that will actually eliminate abilities from their deck that they can play against you, or have otherwise interesting weaving mechanics that make you a little bit safer. Or you can just go for the raw damage by going for their critical spot. It's totally up to you. I'm going to shield up right here. I'm going to empower one more time. So they should be doubly empowered right now, giving them a lot of stagger. He gets an auto attack right there, and then this guy is back up and on his feet. In this game, when you put shields on your characters, they do maintain some of that shield going forward if the enemy doesn't destroy it. We're going to shield up right there. We're going to smite this dude. And unfortunately, after you've stunned somebody one time, their bar gets this little resistant hatch line over here. That means that you can't really do that anymore. It takes a lot longer to build up stun on a character that's already been stunned, I guess. We need to kill somebody. And so unfortunately, I think on this turn, we're going to take a little bit of a hit. But let's go ahead and eliminate the guy that's doing 8 damage. That way, we're at least only taking 2 damage here, because damage is persistent in this game. Like, it does not heal in between fights. You've got to find ways inside the city to heal it off. And then we'll finish him off. That's our last kill. And our warriors have succeeded in their first combat. A little more the worse for wear. They're a little bit scuffed up, but that's kind of the way that life goes. After you finish a battle, when you're on excavation or expedition, you're going to have to pick. There's a little bit of a gambling mechanic here. So we've got our power core, that's totally free. We can just grab that, the reactor rod, so that we can power up the city. We've also got another freebie over here, but you've got a number of scavengers that are assigned to your expedition. There's lots of ways to increase or decrease the amount of scavengers that you have inside the game based on narrative choices and also combat choices. But for now, we got 2 freebies on this, which I'm not that upset about. We've got a fractured core. We can use this to acquire a new unit. That would be good. A new unit would be fantastic. And then we can go hazardous on this one. It's got a very low chance of success with our 5 survivor or our scavengers, but we could go for it, or we could go for the 2 100% and just take them. I'll probably go for this one. We got an artifact fragment. If every 2 of these that you get, they allow you to make an artifact, Binding of Isaac or not Path of Exile, Binding of Isaac or Slay the Spire style, that makes you stronger for the rest of the game. On my last run, I had 2 or 3 of them. One of them made like all of my attacks do +2 stagger, which was absolutely awesome, like absolutely incredible. And so you kind of build your army composition around perma-stunning enemies nonstop with that extra bonus. And then I had another one that did something weird that I can't really describe to you. I don't know, maybe I'm too stupid to figure out what it did, but it was more complex. It did something much more intricate. What did we get right here? Oh, we got a Lantern Combat card. Very nice. So what this does is it gives us a Blessing of the Empress that we can usually add into our Lantern deck. Some of these are going to be single use and like wipe the entire board, but some of them are quite good. Seeker Beam's nice. Disruption Wave would also be good. 20 stagger is pretty nuts for like stunning the entire board. I'll probably take Disruption Wave, I guess. Well, let's just go for raw damage. I took Disruption Wave last time. When we're done with our expedition, we leave, we come back, and now with these items, we play them on various locations to get different bonuses. Now with Reactor Rods, you're just powering up force field generators, so that one's pretty easy. We're going to collect our 20 force field, getting resources, collecting resources, acquiring resources in this game feel very satisfying because they followed my universal advice for game design, which is where when the player gets a lot of currency or a lot of stuff, it should like fan out on screen and then make tinkling noises as it flies over to the meter and goes tink 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 on in there. It's just one of those little casino things that makes players feel more dopamine tied to the game. With the Fractured Core, we'll recruit a new unit over at the blacksmith. Your old mentor is hammering away on a red-hot copper plate. Let's give him the core, and then he's going to allow us to draft a new unit. I just unlocked these guys, so I'm kind of curious if they're any good. They put Rupture 3 on the enemy, and they can fight pretty well from the support line. So honestly, I feel like these little spear guys are a no-brainer, but they're randomized, so make sure you read all of their descriptions because they won't always have the exact same abilities. So for example, if my draft had 3 Arbalists, all 3 Arbalists will have a different third ability. Their first 2 will be standardized, but their third one will be totally random and you won't know exactly what it is. So this guy's got Whistling Spear, and so it looks like they deal 6 damage and then +6 for every zone that's in between the Dauntless and its target. That's a lot of damage. Like 18 damage is no joke if they're hitting a backline enemy. Barb Javelin over here, though, applies a lot of the time because I was thinking about just leaving these guys in the support lane. It gives Deep Wound, which reduces their healing, and Rupture will deal even more damage. So he's kind of building his own synergy right here, and it's pretty cheap. I like him. I'll take him. These guys do level up as you get further on into the game, and you'll be able to add more abilities. What is that ability right there? What was that Empowered Phalanx? So Empowered Phalanx, if you empower him, his armor goes up, and enemies will be forced to prioritize hitting him. So he's actually kind of a tank. Okay, so we may have picked the wrong ability right there. But then again, maybe we can build him to be a support lane, sort of like Skirmisher that throws javelins at the enemy. Artifact Fragment, that's going to go to the Reliquary, but we're going to need 2 of these before we can actually do anything with it. So for right now, we just get one of our favor back. I'll probably send an envoy to the inn, maybe? So for 15 bucks, we can restore 15 health to all of our units. I've got money, so I'll go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to send my envoy to the market just to see if there's anything interesting here that we can purchase. Love the fact that this game changes its scenery every time you go anywhere, anytime you do anything. The sheer amount of backgrounds and foreground characters and moving things in this game, really, really well done. We can get 5 favor for 15 bucks. We can get Glass Vapor, which applies Feeble to the enemy and lowers their attack power. We can buy a unit perk right there, which might be kind of nice. Or we can upgrade a random card for any of our units. We can get a Bile Serum, which trades health for extra damage. Or we can get a Tough Tincture, which gives armor. I'm going to get a perk for one of my units. Let's put the perk on the new guy that I've never played around with before. He's got a new perk. Oh, it's random. Okay, what did he get? Obsession. Whenever you reapply fixation to an enemy, this unit immediately triggers an extra auto action. Interesting. So anybody that's using an ability that does fixation, which means your auto attacks only hit that enemy, he gets an extra auto attack too. So we may want to find somebody that applies fixation, maybe even another stack of these guys, because it looked like that other ability did fixation and tanking. Okay. I think that's all for me for right now, and now we've got to go out on another expedition with our time. We can finish off a relic over here, or we can go for a fat stack of cash. I'll probably go for the artifact over on this side. I like the idea of the artifact. Unfortunately, I only get to play around with one unit this turn. I don't get to bring both of my guys. It's kind of arbitrary. I feel like if you were in this situation, you could bring everybody you possibly could into the fight, but the game disagrees. We're going to need tanking for this one, so I don't think bringing them just yet is a great idea. Like, they'll get a lot of damage off on the opening turns, but from there, they're just going to have to soak hits because they have no shield or anything. Actually, it looks like Light Barrier comes from our Lantern deck. Let's just run these guys and see how they do. They look cool. They look super badass. So let's hit him. Oh, never mind. Apparently, they're going nuts with the damage already. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. And what did Empowered do for these guys again? It looks like Empowered makes them get extra armor, which just flat mitigates damage. Let's throw a spear at this guy. He's got Rupture, and he's now gone down beneath the soil. It sucks that doesn't cancel his attack, but I guess that's life. Okay, 5 damage mitigated there, and then we took a little bit of damage right there. They're going in for an attack yet again. Let's go for a Barbed Javelin on this side. Good stuff. He now has Deep Wound, and we're probably going to want to run... Oh, we've got Seeker Beam. That might be helpful. It uses up one of my power, though. Let's go with Empower first so that they get armor, so that they scuff a few of the enemy's hits. And then we've got that right there, which I think should help out. Yeah, they only took 1 damage that time around, which is definitely much preferable. These guys aren't hitting that hard on this turn, but I'm going to Empower again because we didn't get any shield cards. I could technically play Alacrity. It's being a little heavy on our favor, but it gave me what I wanted. So let's throw a spear at them. Let's throw a spear at them. Good stuff. And we're not going to reposition. We're going to stay exactly where we're at. We managed to soak both of those hits, which is great for us. And then we'll throw a spear at this guy. I've got Seeker Beam over here, and I kind of want to use it. Oh, that one's moving forward. We only really have to worry about this guy this turn. Okay, that'll work. Barbed Javelin this guy. And then just stack up a bunch of barrier because, like, it persists in between turns. So, like, shouldn't really matter that much. I think with our armor, we should be able to soak this. Oh, no, they shredded my armor. Never mind. Bummer, dude. So I'm actually taking an extra damage. Yeah, we're getting hit pretty good right now. Okay, so let's get him submerged. We will Seeker Beam him. He's now staggered. Let's get a shield up real fast. I'm also going to Empower to give him the extra armor so that they take less damage. Hard fight on my favor right now. Real hard fight on my favor. He's stunned. Did I get a spear throw that'll finish him off? Yeah, get him with the final spear throw just to finish this thing off. We'll start stacking some shield before too long, and then reposition forward so that you get an auto attack. Little barrier right there. I'm going to stop Empowering. We still got the stagger right there, even though he had 99 armor. So that's good to know. I wasn't attacking the ones that are submerged because of the 99 armor situation. But it seems like they still build stagger regardless, so that'll be nice. We will collect our cash. And then with our 5 survivors, we've got something over here. We've got something over here, but it takes 6 scavengers. I'll take this one, I guess. We've got a dragon fruit. That's actually really, or a dream fruit, sorry. A dream fruit is really, really good. We'll try to send these guys over here, and it looks like we succeeded, so we got like a small handful of coins. If you have less than the required amount for 100%, you can send less people. It just lowers the percentage chance that you'll get the thing that you want. For the artifact fragment, this one is actually not going to be turned in here today. But with the dream fruit, we can go to the healer. Actually, we're getting 5 HP back every single cycle, so it may not be worth it right now. I may want to hold on to it. I'll hold on to it. Let's end the cycle. Cycle will end. We will dig a little bit deeper down into the soil right here, and then it'll be time for some new challenges. Our mentor, he wants us to draft a new unit card. So it looks like we got Dust Bomb for the Vanguard. That puts Feeble 3 and Dizzy 3 on the enemies, so they take way more stagger, and they lose a bunch of their attack power. Could definitely be useful. We've got Barbed Javelin over here, which is the same thing that he's already got, so I probably wouldn't take a second one. We've got Immortalize over here, which gives them 9 armor, but it only lasts till the end of the turn. It also has charges on it, which means we can only use it once per battle. So I'll take the Dust Bomb, I guess. Dust Bomb might be nice for sort of debuffing and keeping the enemy honest. This guy over here, we will reassemble our lost technology. Good stuff. And then we've got Blazing Effigy. Burning triggers extra times before enemies act, but it doesn't inflict stagger anymore. Okay, we don't have anybody that stacks burning. The Illusory Bloom, when you recycle an ethereal card, you will get an extra card back. Or we can get Reactive Armor. Whenever a unit gains empowered, it also gets Fleeting Armor too. None of these are really jumping out at me, so I'll take the Reactive Armor for right now. We do need to prepare the defenses because we're under siege today. And we get to, I think, pick our reward based on where we put this, basically. We get a new unit if we come over here, I think. And then over here, we takes our chances, and it gives us a special event. Let's draft a new unit. That way, we're just, like, variable. It can be random, or I can spend favor in order to choose who gets it. I'll leave it random, I guess. Counterattack, no question. So we've got some other things over here. But this one right here makes him counterattack, like the next 4 attacks that come at him. That's really, really good. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to try to build around that. And then I think, oh, we don't have a siege today. We were preparing the defenses for the siege tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to send a scout into the market plaza to see if I can earn some money, I suppose. A guild experimenter is working on a special barrier device. If he infuses the device by overloading its circuitry with power from the force field grid, he might be able to achieve a breakthrough. So if we lose some barrier right now, every single one of our shields gets upgraded to a 6 shield with 1 persistent. That's pretty good. Yeah, I'll take that. It's risky, but I can live with the risk. I don't mind the risk. Let's go back to the market again and see what we get. The locals have decided to start a brawl. A heavyset thug faces down a runt. A bookmaker is taking bets from the eager crowd. We can either gamble, so the envoy that we sent has stats, and so he's going to roll dice to see what happens. Gain either 50 or none at all. Let's go for it. Success! A glint of light, an easy fight. The bookie winks at you. So we got 50 bucks right there, which is actually a non-inconsequential amount of money for this game. That's a pretty good chunk of cash. We should be able to buy something good with it. The Dream Fruit I'm going to hold on to, so we'll go to next cycle because we didn't get any excavations. And now we must fight to defend the city from the Raging Thrasher. So he gets an attack bonus whenever he misses, and then he attacks all of our units inside of a zone. But the good news here is that I get to use all of my units, which is spicy, so we'll go ahead and take them. So he's looking to hit somebody inside the guard zone, so we definitely don't want to be in the guard zone right now. I'm going to make him dizzy and feeble. I pulled all my defense cards on this turn. It's really unfortunate. I'm going to throw a spear at him. I'm going to empower these guys so that they stagger better. And then we got Fleeting Armor, which doesn't really help us right now. And I guess I'll play one of these on the guys that are going to step forward. That way they at least have a little bit of barrier next time. All right, so nothing was accomplished right there. Let's reposition our tanks forward. They're going to attack the front line, but they've already got 6 barriers, so that's good. Let's shield slam this dude. And then we'll smite this dude. And we're getting to the point where we're going to get a stun off, but we're not there yet. I'm really, really glad I put that persistent barrier on him. Okay, so let's do a spear throw over here. He's going to do 13 damage to where? To the guard zone. Okay. Trick of the light. Let's move them forward. Just so they get an auto attack. We staggered him. Never mind. It doesn't matter. His parts. So it looks like he's got a pheromone sac. It means that he can't use his pheromones to summon more bugs, I think. This guy right here is Sickle Tail. Is how he cleaves everybody in a row. So getting rid of that would probably also be a smart idea. Or we can just go for straight critical hits. But for right now, he has no armor. So this is a really, really good time to, like, press him and pop him. Let's get him with the Barbed Javelin to the cleaving thing. That way only one unit is taking the damage, hopefully. I will probably use Alacrity here to draw cards. Unfortunately, I didn't get what I wanted, so I wanted to break his tail before the next round, but I don't think it's going to happen. You take your barrier, and that'll be it for us for right now. We need to focus on getting our favor back up for sure. Like, favor is going to be super important for us. He's doing 16 damage to the guard zone. Ugly. Real, real ugly. Let's get this guy slamming and trying to get some of that stagger up. We didn't really get any defensive utilities here, and so let's just deal a whole bunch of damage, and hopefully we eventually accomplish what it is that we want to accomplish. Ow. We got pheromone, so ignore all Molter enemies and gain 1 attack bonus. I can discard it. I mean, I can use one of my discards to get rid of it, and I still get a card back, so that's not terrible. We did not get lucky with the stagger, unfortunately, so we're just going to have to soak this 9 damage. I'm going to reposition them back. That way these guys take the hit since they have 1 shield. It's not much, but it's something. And then we should have a stagger coming pretty soon, unless we draw all movement cards. That's really unfortunate. Trick of the Light is good. I'll take Trick of the Light. And then we're going to dust bomb him out one more time just to get his damage down. Okay. He's now staggered at a really good time. Let's reposition up here so that we get all of our damage. We only got 1 attack this time around. Nice little critical hit right there. I think he'll stay down for the next turn, so we should be good to take our time. Too many pheromones in my deck right now. Let's go for a javelin to get rid of his cleave. There we go. I'll take that. And I can't really afford the cost of making my unit stronger right now. 20 damage attack to the guard zone. Hitting a random unit. Okay. Ugly stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a whole lot of ways out of this. I think somebody's getting smacked. Yup, down go my spearmen, unfortunately. It is what it is. Finish him off right there, and the siege has been victorious. We should get another unit, I think, after this in order to round this out, and I think those guys get res too once we go down to the next level, but not right now. The walls hold for now. We've got a Vile Still Beating Core and an Artifact Fragment. Good stuff. Over here, with our old mentor, we get a new combat card. Obviously, these guys are knocked the hell out right now, so upgrading them is probably a bad idea. He can trigger his own Rupture without a stagger, which would have saved me in that last fight. We've also got 9 damage ignores armor, which also would have saved me. Then again, Counter Hit is a free card that deals damage and puts 16 stagger on the enemy too. Both of these are really, really good. Let's go with the armor. I don't have a lot of ways to deal with armor right now. And then we've got to go back to the forum. The onslaught of monsters from the miasma has caused an uproar among the city's quieter factions. The guild argue that they must delve deeper into the mysterious fog. The sacrosanct argue for restraint and focus within. I'll probably go with the advocate because he's got really high charisma. There we go. I'll take him real fast. We're going to get a fat hand of cards. So with the dream fruit, can I heal like a guy that's knocked out? I don't know if I can heal a guy that's knocked out. We do have a core over here, which we can take to the council, which will give us access to a rare unit. Hell yeah. We've got the Bombardier, we've got the Knight, and we've got the Zealot. I'll be honest with you, my experience with the Zealot, I just couldn't get him built the way I wanted him to be built. But the Bombardier over here has kind of like a AoE blast mechanic. I think we'll take the Knight. We need like a strong frontline guy that can take some hits and make everybody else a little bit more resilient right now. I think that's going to be necessary. So we'll take that. And then for the Dream Fruit, I guess I'm just going to risk it. Restore a unit to full health. They're dead, so I can't do them. That's real unfortunate. That's upsetting. I just wasted a resource. Okay, I was hoping it would res him, but we'll just run it on this guy. Vanguard's up and running. We can go on expedition. Let me turn in my artifact fragment real fast. That way we get favor, most importantly. And also we'll be working towards something good. With my advocate, if we're going to send him somewhere, let's send him into the war. Oh, I can send him over here too. There isn't much time left to bring the lost back. Yeah, I'll spend the 2 favor to get my unit back. Sure, why not? There we go. Maybe I'll get some favor from elsewhere. Let's send an envoy over to the market. We found the work pit. A call for recruitment rings out in the marketplace. The foreman's voice cuts through the noise. Warden, we could use some help for the excavation. We found something big in the mines underneath. You can help us in this endeavor for the good of the city. I'd rather have more allies tomorrow for doing more city interactions. The allies aren't real great. They kind of suck, but, like, might work out. We could pay $60 to get a perk for a unit, or we can find a buyer for a tool schematic that will give us 5 to 35 bucks. Let's get a perk for a unit. So it looks like he got Fleetfoot. Whenever he switches zones, he gains Fleeting Armor 1. He got Sadism. Whenever an enemy becomes staggered, he gets an attack bonus. And this one got Flanker. This unit's cards cost 1 more energy, but when you play the card of another unit, his next one costs 1 less. Intricate. Let's try that. I don't know that I'm big brain enough to actually make that work, but let's give it a try. And then we've got to go on Expedition again. On Expedition, we need another artifact fragment, but I think we could also definitely use some more shield before the boss fight. The bosses tend to have attacks that leapfrog your troops and hit your shield, so like having a little bit of resilience there would be a good idea. Now, this game does have a risk-reward mechanic. If you bring in less units than the game wants you to, you get extra workers at the end for excavating. I never do it because I'm a very, very cautious player, but, you know, some people probably like it. So let's reposition this guy to the front, because he's our knight. Like, that's where he's supposed to be, is in the front. We can go Iron Fortress over here. Let's go Trick of the Light, I guess, on them for next turn. We will throw out a Dust Bomb over here. And that did reduce the cost of his cards. I don't know if it's for the rest of the fight or not, but I guess we'll find out. Big hit out right there. We are gonna need all these guys to move forward. They're attacking the guard lane. Let's go Trick of the Light over here, because it's 16 damage. We have technically 14 mitigation. I'll give him an extra armor. That way he should have enough to mitigate all this. And I don't really want to play anything that uses up my favor right now. We're like catastrophically low on favor at the moment. So we'll just keep like auto attack scrumming out here. Let's go for a stagger maybe on this guy, because he's doing a bigger hit. Okay, that guy's officially staggered. We'll have him gain another armor. He's going to take 4 damage, but I can live with it. Okay, so let's play... I'm just going to play a big hit over here. And then it doesn't feel like there's much else I can do, so get them up there for an auto attack. Hit whatever you'd like to hit and just kind of get it done. We've got a lot of damage coming out to this lane right here. We can only move forward with this card. I'll probably actually use discards here to bail myself out of the tricky situation that I'm in. We want to dust bomb this guy for sure. That way he's dealing a negligible amount of damage that nobody cares about. I'm going to play a smite on this guy. I'm going to play a smite on this guy. We did not get the stun, but I will play Iron Fortress on everybody here. That way we're at least mitigating some damage. Not bad, I'll take that. Like, that could have gone a lot worse. This guy got staggered on his turn, which is good for us. I'm going to throw out that reposition to see what I get. I drew Pheromones, which they put inside of my deck, unfortunately. Let's get everybody going with just a little bit of shield, and it looks like we're relying on auto attack this turn. Reposition everybody out so that this attack misses. Oh no, that attack goes all the way to the back and it's on a random unit. Okay, get a shield on them. And then I guess throw out a smite over there. There we go. Doesn't really help us too much with regards to... Get the crit right there. Just kill one of these guys. I'm using the last of my favor, even though I know that I probably shouldn't. Let's work on his stagger. We've got intercept. I'd like him to be ready to die before too long. This is all going out everywhere. So I gotta kind of decide what I want to do here. Suppose we'll throw a dust bomb on that potential problem. We'll move him up with fleeting armor. And then we'll shield these guys in the hopes that, like, we survive this situation. It depends where the damage ends up going. Okay, it worked out. We actually pulled that one out right there. We need one of these guys to go, like, right this second. He's got a 30% chance to get staggered. Let's finish him. No stagger. We got really unlucky right there. That's unfortunate. He hit my knights, so my knights are now officially dead. Okay, reposition up front. And finish the fight off, but, like, we don't have a lot left for us to fight off the boss with. I'm a little bit concerned right now. For our excavation, we'll take our power core for sure. Down here and over here, we've got options. Let's try the risky one over here. We got it with an 83%, and we got a steel monster bone. I'm guessing that's going to go to the blacksmith. So with our reactor core in hand, we're going to power up the city. Good stuff. City's a little bit stronger than it was previously. Steel monster bone goes to the blacksmith, and we can get a perk from the blacksmith. Let's take a perk. We get free barrier. I'll take that. Free barrier at the start of every turn. That saves me clicks. I'll take it. We've got another expedition force that needs to go out, but I think we're pretty beat up right now. Like, we're kind of like in rough shape. Let's go on expedition, but we'll try to play this one safe. Let's go for an ancient manuscript, huh? Let's try that out. I think that gives me another unit, and we need like a third unit really, really badly before we go up against the boss fight. Let's get them in the back lane. We'll have them in the front lane and deploy for battle. So these guys are both attacking the guard lane right now. Let's throw out a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Doesn't really matter too much to me what we throw out right now. Just that we start stacking stagger and a little bit of damage on these dudes, because they will move forward and then they'll be able to hit my back lane, and so that's when we'll start like moving people around and figuring out what we want to do. Lots and lots of damage flying out. They've already got 2 barrier right there. Shield slam will likely stagger him. He's now staggered, so that's good. We will reposition maybe you forward. And then we'll go Trick of the Light on you. That way you take a little bit less damage from that hit. It's not going to save him, but it's something. We really didn't pull anything too useful right here, so just go for the critical hit on that. That one's now dead. With 10 damage going out, we've got just enough to mitigate. So let's leave that where we've got it going on. Perfect. For this guy, 20 damage that can go anywhere on the battlefield. Well, I don't have much of a choice then, do I? Let's go for a double smite over here. Only a 9% chance of a stagger, but we've got him built up for next turn. I don't know if you've noticed, but enemies in this game, they hit real hard. This is a nasty, brutal sort of game by comparison to a lot of its contemporaries. He's now staggered, so that's good. Get that double damage off. Not gonna dust bomb it. Well, I guess I can dust bomb him. I don't know. And down he goes. We've managed to defend the colony once more. The expedition was victorious. And then over on this side, we've got our manuscript. We've got 5 guys. This one has a Mythion grade item. This one must be gathered before I can get to that one. So I guess I'll gather that one real fast. 15 bucks is 15 bucks, I suppose. 75% chance we got lucky with the super grub. Hopefully I can feed that to one of my units. I do think we need more defensives right now. I think we're built in such a way that we're not getting the defensives out that we need. But with the super grub, what can I do with it? A grub has a multitude of medicinal uses. I can instantly revive a unit, or I can restore a unit to full health. Let's restore a unit to maximum health right here. That's at least something, so that on the next cycle, we're not completely and totally hosed. I do need to get my knights back up, so we're kind of like in a tricky situation right now. Damn, this video got long though, so I gotta do closing thoughts. I lost track of time playing. That's a really good sign though, the fact that I lost track of time while doing my job. I was supposed to be on focus and on par here, and instead I just started playing their video game. Closing thoughts. As We Descend, I think, is a fantastic roguelite. I think it combines high-level art, really good animation, really good design, and sort of enemy interactions and the way that they move and the way they threaten the player. It's got some really cool mechanics with the city design as well and the way that you interact with it. It managed to take all these ideas and mush them into a cogent, thoughtful, sharp little package that breathes down your neck at all times with regards to difficulty. This is not an easy game. This is not a game for the faint of heart. This is a game that is actually really, really hard compared to a lot of its other contemporaries. At least I found it to be so. Despite the fact that it's an energy-based card game, because I know some of you are sitting there with your eyebrows raised being like, I thought you hate these kinds of games. Something I've declared my irritation many, many times over the years with Slay the Spire knockoff energy-based games. This actually manages to breathe fresh air into a genre that I think is pretty stagnant and really overly focused on just making Slay the Spire with one extra gimmick that actually isn't that consequential. And so that's good. This is a game where, as I said at the beginning of the video, every last detail has been lovingly worked on to produce something truly unique, which we don't really get a whole lot of in the indie space anymore. We get lots of iterative things where it's this game, but with this added onto it. It's this game, but with this added onto it. This right here is actually a number of different parts from different genres stitched together very, very elegantly. This is the video game equivalent of a game having welds that have like rainbow designs in them, and the knotwork is very, very beautiful. I felt that the writing was well-paced, and it kind of drips with the sort of weight and angst of the player's role in being a warden guiding a society through their end times. I never found myself getting bored and skipping through the text, and I do that a lot with video games. The combat itself requires a lot of thinking. This is definitely a thinking man's game. There's a ton of intricate interlinking synergies, cards, strategies, and enemy rebuttals to those strategies to consider, which can become almost overwhelming at times to keep track of. If I had anything negative to say about this game, it would be just that. There's a lot of things to keep track of in a normal monster fight, let alone when it comes to the customization of your characters and the bosses, and then how they interact, how your synergies with your units work out together, how their synergies work out with themselves. All this is to say that I think this is a really, really good title. I like it a lot, but it is super possible that I'm just too stupid to play it effectively. On a clinical level, though, this is really good work. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we were playing around with As We Descend. Tomorrow to be something else. Thanks for hanging out with me, and that's about all I got for you, folks. Bye.